It's the silence that gets you. You spend, what, 2 years on a massive industrial site? All you hear is pounding, welding, generators. It's just chaos. And then one day, it all stops.
Yeah.
The silence settles in. You look around at this thing you've built and you think, okay, we made it. We're done.
And that right there is probably the most dangerous moment in the entire project lifecycle.
Because you're not actually done, are you?
Not even close. In fact, that silence, that's usually the sound of a legal and administrative clock just starting to tick.
So if you just pack up the truck and leave right then.
Oh, you are setting yourself up for an absolute disaster.
Exactly. And that is what we are unpacking today. We were doing a deep dive into what really happens in that silence. We're looking at a document labeled Employer Requirement Contract Completion. Specifically, document number E2.17.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you're thinking. On the surface, this is a dry bureaucratic procedure. It's just lists, forms, definitions.
But if you look closer, and that's what we're doing, this document is essentially a prenup.
A prenup.
A prenuptial agreement for a breakup. It's this really rigorous, legally binding roadmap for how two massive entities, the employer and the contractor, disentangle their lives, their money, their liabilities.
Without suing each other into oblivion.
Exactly.
It's a survival guide for the exit. And the mission for this deep dive is to unpack that crucial difference between finishing the work and, well, finishing the job. Because E2.17 treats those as two completely different universes.
It absolutely does. And understanding that distinction is the difference between getting your final paycheck and getting a subpoena.
So let's lay the groundwork. The document structures this whole exit strategy around two really distinct phases. You have completion in Section 2 and then contract closeout in Section 3.
Right.
And to the uninitiated, those just sound like synonyms.
Yeah.
If I complete the puzzle, I have closed out the puzzle.
In normal conversation, sure. But in the world of high-stakes construction, they're separated by a massive gulf of time and paperwork. Think of it like the difference between engineering and law.
Okay, let's break that down. Section 2, completion. This seems to be the domain of the boots-on-the-ground team.
Correct. Section 2 deals with the works, with a capital W. The physical stuff.
The thing itself.
The bridge is spanning the river, the refinery is processing oil. It's about the tangible product. Completion just means the thing is built and it works.
Whereas contract closeout, Section 3,
Yeah.
that feels totally different.
That is entirely administrative. It's the cleanup. It's all the commercial, technical, and financial obligations. You can have a facility that's been running for 6 months. It's
The contract is still wide open.
wide open because you haven't done Section 3.
And the document actually creates a physical manifestation of this split. It demands two separate dossiers.
I love that word.
The contract completion dossier and the contract closeout dossier.
Yeah.
Yeah, dossier just implies this level of seriousness.
It really does. And did you catch the formatting requirement in Section 2.4?
The binder requirement, I did. It says you have to upload everything to the electronic system, but you also have to submit these dossiers in hard copy, in a binder.
In our digital age, that just stands out, doesn't it?
It does.
We have digital twins, cloud storage, blockchain, and yet this document explicitly demands a physical binder.
It feels archaic, but there's a logic to it.
Yeah.
It has to be about permanence.
Absolutely. Digital formats change, software licenses expire, servers get corrupted, but a physical binder on a shelf in the archives, that's the ultimate backup.
Right. 10 years from now, if there's a catastrophic failure, they don't want to be guessing passwords.
They want to pull the binder off the shelf.
It's the physical legacy of the whole project. So let's open that first binder, the completion dossier. I'm the contractor. I've built the thing. I just want to go home.
You can't.
The document says I can't just mail in the keys.
No. Section 2.2 outlines a very specific process. It mandates final inspections, but specifically a joint site inspection.
So no drive-by inspections.
Precisely. The employer, the one paying the bills, has to walk the line with you. They have to see what you see. You can't just send a report saying it looks great.
They need to be standing there nodding their head.
Yeah. And the goal of that whole process is to get the taking over certificate.
The golden ticket.
The golden ticket.
Right. In the construction world, that certificate is everything.
Yeah.
It's the moment the risk transfers from the builder back to the owner. Until you get that paper, if a hurricane hits the site, it's your problem. Once you have it, it's their problem.
But getting it requires a really heavy lift. Section 2.3 lists the deliverables for the dossier. It is not a short list.
It is exhaustive. And for good reason. I mean, look at the first item. Final site inspection report, including photo catalog.
That photo catalog is vital.
It sounds like a vacation album. Here's the boiler at sunset.
Yeah.
But this is forensic.
It's protective for both sides.
Yeah.
If you hand over a pristine control room on Tuesday, and on Wednesday the employer's team smashes a control panel,
You need proof.
you need a high-res photo from Tuesday proving it was intact when you left. Without that, it's your word against theirs. An expensive argument.
The document also demands a master document register, handover book references, basically the instruction manual for the whole facility. But the one that really caught my eye was the defects correction procedure.
This is where a lot of contractors trip up.
Because it's not enough to just say, we have a warranty.
Right. A warranty is just a promise. This document demands a protocol. Section 2.3 says you have to define who, how, when, what systems.
So it's logistical. If a pipe bursts at 3 a.m., who do I call? Is it a call center? Is it the project manager's cell?
Exactly. If you haven't defined the contact person, the response time, and the logging method, that warranty is effectively useless. They're saying, I don't want your promise, I want your process.
They need to know that when they pull the fire alarm, the fire truck actually comes.
That's it.
Okay, so we're walking the site, taking photos, building manuals. Now we get to section 4.1, the demobilization checklist.
This is where the project manager earns their salary.
The level of detail here is just, it's intense. A series of yes, NO, or NA toggles. But I want to drill down on the material classification. Item 1 versus item 3.
Surplus materials versus surplus free issue materials?
Right. To a layperson, extra pipe is extra pipe. Why does the document treat them differently?
It's all about ownership and liability. Surplus materials are things the contractor bought.
Yeah.
If I'm a contractor and I bought 500 extra bricks, those are my bricks. I need to get them off the site, otherwise I'm just dumping trash on the employer's property.
Clear enough. Take your stuff with you.
But free issue materials, those are different. The employer bought those and gave them to the contractor to use. Let's say the employer bought some really high-grade, expensive copper wire.
And gave it to me to install.
Right. If there's wire left over, you, the contractor, don't own it.
So I can't just toss it in my truck and sell it for scrap.
Well, that would be theft. But you also can't just leave it lying in the mud because it's a valuable asset. So the checklist forces you to disposition it.
Disposition.
Yeah.
Such a great bureaucratic word.
It just means you have to formally ask the employer, we have 500 feet of your copper wire left. Do you want it back in your warehouse, or should we scrap it for you?
So it's asset tracking. The employer's accountants need to know where that asset went.
Precisely. It closes the loop on the inventory.
And then you see things like item 5, all utility hookup points removed. Item 9, site reinstatement completed.
Reinstatement is a very polite word for erasing your footprint.
It's returning the temporary office spaces and parking lots back to how they were. It prevents the contractor from leaving behind, say, a bunch of concrete pads the employer has to pay to remove.
It's like camping. Pack it in, pack it out.
There's also a fascinating note at the bottom of this checklist about signatures. It demands a list with names and functions of contractors' personnel who sign off.
This is all about the accountability chain.
I mean, how many times have you seen a document where the signature is just an unreadable squiggle?
Exactly. JD. Who is JD? Is JD the site manager with authority to sign off, or is JB the summer intern who is just standing there with a pen?
So this list is like a cipher key.
Yes. So years later, if we find out the utility hookups weren't removed, we know exactly who certified that they were. You can't hide behind a messy signature.
Okay, moving on to what is, I would argue, the most contentious part of any project finish, the punch list. Section 4.3.
The completion punch list, yeah.
Now, everyone sort of knows what a punch list is. It's the to-do list of stuff you missed.
Yep.
But this document has a warning in bold text right at the top.
It does.
It says, this list shall only be used for minor outstanding works and minor defects.
And that word minor is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
So why is the document so aggressive about this distinction?
Because there's a huge temptation for a contractor who's behind schedule to use the punch list as a rug to sweep things under. Let's say the ventilation system isn't balanced yet. That is a major piece of work. But the contractor wants that taking over certificate to stop the delay penalties. So they say, oh, we'll just put the ventilation on the punch list.
Right. We'll get to it next week. Just sign the form.
And this document just slams that door shut. It implies that if the defect prevents the facility from operating safely or correctly, it is not a punch list item.
It's an incomplete project.
It's an incomplete project. You do not pass go. You do not collect your certificate.
It even references other lists, the mechanical completion punch list and the commissioning punch list.
Right. It forces a sequence. You have to finish the mechanical list, the nuts and bolts. Then you finish the commissioning list, turning it on. Only then, when you're down to, like, chipped paint or a loose door handle, do you get to even open the completion punch list.
And even for that chipped paint, the verification standard is high. The form asks for planned versus actual dates, and a column for completion verification by the employer.
And the note, contractor shall attach supporting documentary evidence.
So you can't just tick the box.
No, you need a closed work order, a signed report, maybe a photograph. It turns the punch list from a casual to-do list into an evidentiary record.
So, we've cleared the site, photos are taken, minor defects are fixed and proven, we have achieved completion. But as we said at the start, we are not done.
Not yet.
Now we have to open that second binder. Contract closeout.
Section 3. This is where the accountants and the lawyers walk into the room.
And this is where the leverage really shifts, isn't it? Because Section 3.1 states it clearly. The final invoice is only processed on receipt of these documents.
That is the golden rule of contracting. Never pay the final invoice until the paperwork is in.
Because your leverage disappears.
The second that money leaves the employer's bank account, their leverage drops to zero. If you pay the contractor before they give you the manuals, you are never getting those manuals.
So this checklist is the key to unlocking that final payment.
It is.
And looking at the checklist in Section 4.2, it's a mix of logistics and finance. Item 5. Spares parts delivered, preserved, and stored.
That's crucial for operations. If a pump fails 2 weeks after the contractor leaves, the plant manager needs that spare seal now. If the contractor forgot to hand it over, the whole plant shuts down.
Right. Item 12. All NCRs resolved. What's an NCR?
Non-conformance report. Throughout the project, if something wasn't built to specs, say, the concrete was poured too thin, an NCR is raised.
That's not a quality issue.
Exactly. This item ensures you can't close the contract with unresolved quality problems. You either fix the concrete or the employer formally accepted it as is. You can't just leave it in limbo.
And then we get to the big money items. Item 13. No outstanding contract variations. Item 14. No outstanding claims. Item 21. Financial audits completed.
This is all about closing the books.
Oh.
Projects are notorious for scope creep, extra costs, change orders, delay claims. This checklist forces a reconciliation. It's both parties looking each other in the eye and saying, the math is done, we agree on the final number.
So you can't come back 3 months later and say, hey, I forgot to bill you for that crane rental.
No, it forces finality.
Which brings us to, I guess, the final boss level of this whole document.
It is.
Section 4.4, the release and certificate of final payment.
This is the legal iron curtain. Once this is signed, there's no going back.
It looks like a standard form, but the language is just so specific and, frankly, high stakes.
Yeah.
The contractor puts this on their own letterhead, and the first thing they have to certify is that they have paid everyone else.
Full payment of all costs, charges, and expenses. Work, labor, services, materials, it's everything.
And not just their own staff. The next paragraph explicitly names subcontractors and suppliers.
Oh.
So why does the employer care so much if the contractor paid their bills? If I hire you to build my house, why do I care if you paid the plumber?
Because of Liberons. This is a complete nightmare scenario for any owner.
Okay.
Imagine you pay your general contractor $10 million for a warehouse. You're square, paid in full. But the GC takes that money and, goes to Vegas or just manages it poorly, and they stiff the local company that supplied all the steel beams.
So the steel guy is angry.
The steel guy is angry, and he has a legal right to put a lien on your warehouse.
On my building?
Yes. Even though you paid the general contractor, the supplier can legally claim an interest in your property because their material is physically in it.
So I could end up paying for the steel twice. Or even have my building seized.
Exactly. Which is why this form forces the contractor to swear, basically under oath, I have paid everyone. If I haven't, that's my problem, not yours.
That must be why the indemnity clause is in there. Indemnify and hold harmless.
Right. The contractor is agreeing that if that steel guy comes knocking on the employer's door, the contractor will step in front of the bullet. They'll pay the legal fees, the settlement. They are shielding the employer from their own supply chain problem.
It's masterful risk allocation. And
Right.
then Then comes the phrasing that sounds almost biblical. The contractor unconditionally releases and forever discharges the employer from all claims.
Forever discharged. It is absolute. It means the relationship, financially speaking, is dead. You cannot resurrect a claim about overtime from 3 years ago.
Can't bring up a dispute about weather delays.
Nope. Once you sign this, those claims turn to dust.
Unless
you use the exceptions box.
Right. There's that specific section that says, except as set forth below, and the instruction. If none, write none.
That little box is the most important few square inches on the entire page. It is the speak now or forever hold your peace moment.
So if you think you're still owed $50,000 for that extra concrete, you have to write it in that box.
If you write none and you sign it, you have legally waived your right to that $50,000. It doesn't matter if you have emails proving they owe you. The release supersedes all of it.
Wow.
You've essentially signed a document that says, I don't have any claims.
It's such a powerful closure mechanism. It forces all the hidden disputes out onto the table. You either fight about them now or you let them go forever.
And that is the very definition of contract closeout. It isn't just about finishing the building. It's about creating a clean legal break. The work is done, the mess is cleaned, the money is settled, and the liability is contained.
You know, when you step back and look at the whole document, it really changes your perspective on what finished actually means.
It does. We tend to think of finishing as a physical act. I put down the tool, I walked away. But in the professional world, finishing is a documentation act.
So completion is for the engineers.
And closeout is for the lawyers and accountants. And you need both to sleep at night. If you only do the completion, you're leaving yourself open to these zombie claims, leniens, open-ended liabilities that can haunt you for years.
It's interesting. I mean, most of us listening aren't building billion-dollar refineries. But as we were going through this, I couldn't help but see the parallels to just life.
How so?
Well, think about how many open loops we all carry around in our brains. We finish a project at home, a task at work. But we don't do the closeout.
Right.
We don't file a receipt. We don't send that final thank you email. We don't return the borrowed tool, the free issue material, you could say.
That's a great analogy. We all crave the dopamine hit of completion. Look at the thing I built.
Yeah.
But we dread the drudgery of the closeout. And because we skip it, that mental clutter just accumulates.
The release and certificate of final payment is basically a radical mindfulness exercise. It's forcing you to stop and declare, I have done everything. I paid my debts. I've returned what I borrowed. I am releasing this from my mind.
There is a tremendous amount of peace in that idea of unconditional release.
So here's a thought to leave you with. This document teaches us there's a difference between the work is done and the relationship is resolved. If you applied the logic of that exceptions box to your own life, your unfinished tasks, your vague commitments, maybe even your personal relationships, and you forced yourself to either list the outstanding issues or just write none and sign it off.
Yeah.
How much lighter would you feel?
Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is just verify the punch list is empty, write none in the box, and move on.
Couldn't have said it better. Thanks for diving deep with us into the fascinatingly bureaucratic world of contract completion.
My pleasure.
We'll get you on the next one.
If you're interested in the templates, please visit our shop. The link is in the description.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and see next time.